We've done the heart, we've done lungs, so now it's time to look at blood vessels. And I'm going to give you, like last time, you had a choice of doing mind maps or flashcards, and now you've got to be you. I'll talk you through everything you need to know. I'll explain every little bit of detail, but as per usual, I've taken all the, believe it or not, this is all the GCSE notes on the blood and blood vessels, and I've taken it all and I've really condensed it down. So I'm going to talk you through what all the different bits mean. But then I want you to decide on how you want to lay it out. One thing I will show you, and again I'll say it, mine's mind maps. I love the mind map tool on the left, and mine's actually pinned there. That's how much I use it. But press plus, type in mind map, and there it is, mind map, and just click it once and stuff. Or diagramming shapes, they work quite well as well. But you're going to select how you want to learn all this, and you have to learn this, and that's one of the things, especially year 10. You're going into year 11 soon. It's biology, as I say, is content heavy. It's not like chemistry or physics where you've got to understand a lot. You've got to understand some things, but there's no point understanding something if you don't know the words, which is the tough thing about biology. So we're going to start off with blood vessels and the type of blood vessels, and there are two. There are ones that carry blood away from your heart. And when your heart is pumping, you're at a very high pressure. And this is important. And these are all arteries. Now, veins are carrying the blood back to your heart. It's like the blood's being pushed. It's being, pumped by your heart. And one of the shocking things for me is your heart pumps the blood to your little toe and back up your body. All right. So that's a big pump. So as it pumps it down, it's at high pressure because it's leaving your heart. And on the return, it's lost pressure because it's done all that work to get to your little toe, then come back. So it's lost pressure. So on the way back, there's less pressure. So your blood on the way back is less pressure, but also it carries deoxygenated blood most of the time. That's just mean, right? Most people turn around and say, veins carry deoxygenated blood. Yes, they do, but not all the time. All right? And there's a little bit of naughtiness we do in terms of tricking you guys. Well, it's not tricking you guys. That's a horrible way of saying it. We test whether you understand everything or not. And the thing we'll ask you is, and let's talk about this. I'm going to do a really kind of interesting diagram. You've got I'm going to do a box for the heart. You've got your left and right hand side of your heart. This is your right ventricle, and it pumps blood to your body. High pressure goes out of an artery. Your right ventricle pumps it to your lungs. All right, so it goes to your lungs. Now, coming back here to your left atrium, it's a vein coming back. It's called a pulmonary vein, but it's coming back from your lungs, so it's full of oxygen. So be careful of that. Don't just turn around and say veins carry deoxygenated blood. Yes, a lot of the time they do, unless it's the vein coming back from your lungs, because that's picked up oxygen from your lungs. All right. And how does all this work? Well, there's a lovely little diagram here that I borrowed from BBC Bite Size. All right. So you have your arteries bringing now blood. And again, most of the time this is oxygenated. All right. Except if it's going to the lungs. So they're bringing blood and they get smaller and smaller and smaller. At this side, this is called an arteriole. So it's a very small artery called an arteriole. Let's make that smaller. Arteriole. Okay. And that's a very small artery. And it splits down even further into capillaries. And these are really important. They are very thin. You can just about get one red blood cell through it. They are there, and this is a really important idea within biology and all of science. They are there to increase surface area. It increases the amount of available surface area for gas exchange, for the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. There are other things as well, like glucose and pulling out different end products of respiration. So, increase in surface area. So you have your arterioles here, and it then goes to the capillaries here. Capillaries. After your capillaries, where you, and let's say these are standard, this is coming from your left ventricle, it's going round your body, you will unload oxygen, pick up CO2, and then you're going to go to a vein, but before you go to a proper vein, you go to a little tiny vein called a venule. Okay. So these are the structures you need to know. And related to them, you have to know certain things. First of all, the arteries are leaving your heart. Your heart's a pump, so you've got blood at high pressure. So you've got muscle, you've got elastic fibers, and the walls are really thick. Artery walls are really thick. Arteries, and do you know what I'm going to do? And veins diagram. I'm just going to get you a cross section of it, and it really shows you hopefully the difference in thickness. And it is the difference is quite substantial. Just let me get one for you, because you could have think as it's coming out of the heart, it's like a hose pipe. There's high pressure, and as you can see, it's got this endothelial layer, it's got smooth muscle, connective tissue, and it is thick, and it has to be. All right, so your arteries are very thick, your veins are thinner, but the lumen, if you remember, is the hole in the middle, the gap through which things pass, is larger. But the pressure is so low, you need valves in there to stop it flowing backwards. All right, so that's what you need to know about arteries and veins. Now, blood. And I love this question. I love terrorizing A-level students. They think, oh, we're really clever. We're doing A-level biology. I'm thinking, yeah, you just started. So I terrorize them and ask them a question, what colour's blood? They go red. I'm like, no, it's not. More than half your blood is plasma. And actually, maybe, I can get you a diagram of that. So plasma is really mostly water. And it contains glucose. Here's a picture of it. Here you'll see, and I remember doing this in school with my own blood. At school, one of my teaching sites. I think it was one of my teaching sites. I did it, and I'll see if I can find a picture of. So if you look, people think this is what blood looks like, right? It doesn't really, and you can spin it. You can spin it at a very high speed. You have red blood cells down here at high speed, and this is plasma, right? It looks like this off-color solution. Most of it's water. It's got, like I said, glucose dissolved in it, amino acids, and a few other things, and that's why it looks that color. All right, so half your blood, more than half your blood is plasma. A lot of it, the rest of it, is mostly red blood cells. But we can't see that. We haven't got microscopic vision, but that's red blood cells. All right. Now, red blood cells we've seen before, they have a biconcave disc shape, they have no nucleus, they have a high surface volume area for gas diffusion, and they've got lots of hemoglobin for oxygen. White blood cells, immune defense, right? They engulf viruses and bacteria, and one type called a lymphocyte. So the phagocytes engulf, it's called phagocytosis. They engulf pathogens. Lymphocytes produce antibodies. They are proteins, and one of my favorite ones is antivenom. So if a snake bites you, their venom is a protein. And if you have antibodies, they bind to that protein and stop the venom working. Right? Platelets are cell fragments. This is for blood clotting. I cut myself a lot. And they're just fragments of cells. Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you is, this is flow calculation, volume divided by time. All right? How fast, or the rate of flow, and the key word I'm going to write there is rate. If you ever see a question like, what is the rate of something, chemistry, biology, physics, doesn't matter. The rate of flow is equal to volume. Now, if it's ever rate, if you're ever calculating rate, it is divided by time. The funny thing is, I'm going to write like a fraction. In physics, time is always in seconds. If you do a calculation in biology and you do it in seconds, we'd never knock your marks off. However, it's biology. And sometimes, if you want to look at the rate of growth of a tree, you can't look at it in seconds. We'd probably have a look at it in years. But the keyword rate, you divide by time. All right? Now, your job, make a mind map, make flashcards, use a card cover, whatever you do, your choice. All right? Once you've done that, you've got these questions that get harder and harder and harder. The one thing I did miss. Looking down a slide, you need to be able to recognize blood cells. Okay. Red circular, these are red blood cells. Large, with this funny looking nucleus, is a white blood cell. Sometimes they look like this, and these little fragments of platelets. Or you can see a picture, an image like that, but in black and white. Okay, right. 11 minutes, that's too much, I'm shutting up.